Hey guys, and welcome back to a new episode of Marvel Man 901. So in this episode I'm going to talk about Operation Galactic Storm, which is from 1992. It features in issues from Captain America, Avengers West Coast, Quasar, Wonder Man, Avengers, Iron Man, and the Mighty Thor. All in all in 22 issues. So in a nutshell, this story is about the Kree and Shi'ar war, where Earth is pretty much placed in the middle, as both Kree and the Shi'ar uses the Earth's sun as a power source for their stargates, in order for them to travel back and forth between the empires. So it starts off in Captain America issue 398, where Rick Jones has some bad dreams about the Kree and Captain America. It feels like it's fairly prophecy-like dreams, and he talks to Delphi of the Pantheon about this, and she advised him to talk to Captain America. Naturally, Rick called Cap, and they decided to go to a diner. However, they were interrupted by Warstar once at the diner, and Warstar is naturally of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. So Captain America fought Warstar, and Rick Jones managed to escape, but he was in fact mind-jacked by Oracle and placed inside their ship. In the last panel of this issue, we can see the Supreme Intelligence creating an android called Supremor, which he could use in Star Force. The next issue of this story is Avengers West Coast issue 80, where the Shi'ar Imperial Guards, Oracle, Tempest, and Electron try to get information from Rick Jones about a certain cave where he and Captain Marvel had bonded long time ago. Meanwhile, Captain America calls the Avengers West Coasts and manages to get them to pick him up to find Rick. Rick Jones leads the Shi'ar to this cave, and they are attacked by a Kree sentry. The Kree sentry attacks the Shi'ar Imperial Guards, and the Avengers West Coast and Captain America shows up. The Avengers West Coast at this moment is consisted of Wonder Man, Hawkeye, US Agent, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Woman, and Living Lightning. So the Avengers shows up to fight both the Shi'ar Imperial Guards and the Kree sentry, and it's a big fight, and eventually though, the sentry destroys the cave. Both the Shi'ar and the Avengers get out of it alive, but the Shi'ar escapes in a ship which Captain America calls to Quasar to stop. However, Quasar fails. The event continues in Quasar issue 32, where Quasar notices that the sun is acting strange. He goes to the nearby satellite which was studying the sun at the time, called Starcore, and asks them about it, but they didn't know. He leaves them a signal in case they need to escape from the vicinity of the sun, and then he gets a call from the Avengers HQ about an alarm from Star Fox. Quasar goes to the tomb of Mar-Vell, where he meets Star Fox, who had mentioned that there was an alarm inside the tomb. Both of them enter the tomb, where they find Dr. Minerva and Captain Atlas, who are both easily captured by Quasar. When they leave the tomb, they are attacked by the Shi'ar Imperial Guards. It seems that it's a lot of the guards around. However, there's only 3 of them. One of the Shi'ar Imperial Guards, Magic, was using some illusions to make it seem like there are many more. However, it's just Magic, Impulse, and Manta. They are defeated by the 2 Avengers and Dr. Minerva, but Captain Atlas had gone into the tomb and stolen the negabands from Captain Marvel's tomb. Right as Quasar are going to hit Atlas, he switches places with Rick Jones. The story naturally continues with Wonder Man issue 7. Wonder Man was actually supposed to be keeping an eye on Rick Jones on Earth. However, as Captain Atlas was switching places with Rick Jones back and forth, naturally Wonder Man had to try to fight Atlas without hurting the one he was going to protect. And it's a fairly interesting and funny fight, as Captain Atlas and Rick Jones switches places back and forth. Eventually though, Wonder Man managed to time his punch and knock Captain Atlas out. In the end of this issue, we can see the sun is flaring up and Starcore sends out a signal to the Avengers. Now, in Avengers issue 345, we can see Quasar, Cersei, Vision, and Thor, who was actually Eric Masterson, later known as Thunderstrike, had come to assist Starcore. However, when a Shi'ar armada shows up, they had to fight the Shi'ar instead. Eventually, though, the Avengers win, and Cersei threatens the Shi'ar severely. Captain America is very upset about this at a Avengers meeting later on, where they discuss what they found out. Pretty much that the Kree and Shi'ar are in a war against each other, and that they are using the Earth's sun as a sort of power source for the stargates that they use to travel back and forth. So in order to prevent disaster, the Avengers are split into 3 teams. One is the Kree task force, which are tasked to go to the Kree Empire to talk them down from using the Stargate and from the war, naturally. This task force is consisted of Captain America, US Agent, Iron Man, Crystal, Hercules, Black Knight, and Cersei. The next task force is the Shi'ar task force, which Thor, Wonder Man, Vision, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, which is Monica Rambeau, for you who don't know, Star Fox, and the Living Lightning. They're gonna go to the Shi'ar Empire to pretty much do the same thing. Lastly, we have the Earth Task Force. They are supposed to be basically at Earth and keeping tabs on the sun. This task force is consisted of She-Hulk, Falcon, Mockingbird, Spider-Woman, Hank Pym, Wasp, Gilgamesh, and Hawkeye. Now Hawkeye is really upset about being stuck on Earth, as he feels as he's one of the most senior Avengers around. So he gets some Pym particles from Hank Pym and turns into Goliath instead. Captain America is pretty much forced to switch Hawkeye with US agents, so Hawkeye ends up in the Kree task force instead. Now, last panel on this one, we can see Lilandra is allying with herself with Deathbird, which shows just how dire the situation actually is. The next issue is Iron Man issue 278, with the Kree task force docked with a Kree space station. The Kree are alerted by this, and Shatrax is basically put online. Shatrax is one of the more fierce Kree warriors. While Iron Man is trying to get into the communication systems of the Kree, the other Avengers are attacked by some kind of Shi'ar. They are obviously not Shi'ar, as when they are defeated they are pretty much disintegrated. After a lot of fighting and a lot of tinkering, Iron Man manages to get into the communication systems and is alerted that Shatrax is outside. So he goes outside to fight this Kree warrior. However, when more Kree show up, he decides to surrender in order to save himself and the Avengers. Now the next issue is the Mighty Thor, issue 445. The Shi'ar task force were attacked by Shi'ar, as they believed that the Avengers were Kree. So Gladiator, one of the fiercest Shi'ar Imperial Guards, headed towards the Quinjet. Wonder Man decided to go off and face him, as he was one of the strongest Avengers around. However, he was beaten by Gladiator fairly easily, and Thor decided to go instead. Meanwhile, Living Lightning and Captain Marvel found a scroll inside a downed Kree ship, which then later on exploded. Meanwhile, the battle between Gladiator and Thor continues, and Thor actually defeats Gladiator. He even had to be stopped by his fellow Avengers, and then Thor goes off to implode the Stargate leading to Earth. In Captain America issue 399, the Kree task force is sent off to Hala, where Ronan tells Shatrax and his men to step away. However, before they can even do that, Cersei transforms the Avengers into accusers, and the Avengers manage to escape. Now Iron Man was really upset about Cersei about this, mostly because he was at this time very dependent upon his armor, and if it actually failed, he might very well die. So he decided to travel on alone, and Hawkeye decided to go with him. Meanwhile, we can see Ultimus, Shatrax, Supremor, and Korath joining together as being a part of the Star Force. So Korath was sent off to find the Avengers, and he decided to attack them, and Captain America fought him. Eventually, though, the Avengers managed to escape. Continuing on to Avengers West Coast issue 81. Now, meanwhile on Earth, Nightside and Scintilla of the Shi'ar Imperial Guards attacked the Avengers to free the Shi'ar, and Captain Atlas and Minerva as well. They managed to escape just barely in one of their ships, and Minerva turned out to be Hobgoblin of the Shi'ar. So they obviously had tricked Captain Atlas in order to get to the Negabands. Back with the Avengers, Minerva explained to the Avengers what had happened, and they had sent off a signal to Quasar to stop the ship. However, Quasar and Kismet, who happened to be there as well, were both stopped by Neutron and Starbolt. Now in Quasar issue 33, Quasar and Kismet fights Neutron and Starbolt. Quasar and Kismet actually wins, and Quasar follows the ship. He goes in there, easily recaptures Captain Atlas, and then leaves. Meanwhile, the Shi'ar task force addressed the Shi'ar about the Stargate. Back with Quasar, he encounters Binary, and then some Shi'ar Imperial Guards shows up. The guards being Moondancer, Glom, Voyager, Onslaught, and Solarwind. Naturally, there's a big fight, and they manage to make Quasar pretty much lose himself out in space. So they managed to easily recapture Atlas. And it was also being explained that the Shi'ar was using the Negabands to create an antimatter bomb. Moving on now to Wonder Man issue 8, where the Starjammers had been ordered by the Shi'ar to send this bomb into the Kree Empire. However, Quasar, being of Earth himself, did not want to be part of this. Wonder Man was also very upset about this, having worked with weapons before, knowing that even though the bomb was intended to be defensive, weapons generally tend to be used. So he and Vision went on to fight Shod, Raza and Hepzibah of the Starjammers. Eventually, Wonder Man managed to convince the Starjammers. However, Wonder Man and Vision were accidentally stuck in space with a negabomb after the Starjammers had left. Now, in Avengers issue 346, Ronan got clear orders about the Avengers that he had to find them, no hesitation whatsoever. Star Force was introduced as Ultimus, Dr. Minerva, Captain Atlas, Korath and Supremor along with Shatterax. And they were being led by the Supreme Intelligence, basically telling them that the Avengers were working with the Shi'ar. So naturally, Star Force attacked the Avengers, big fight, and eventually they were actually stopped by the Kree generals who had been leading Hala at the moment. But these generals were in fact killed by Deathbird, who showed up out of nowhere, and the Supreme Intelligence then released the Star Force and Avengers. He continued to send the Star Force and Ronan to kill Lilandra as revenge, while the Avengers remained captives. Now in Iron Man issue 278, Iron Man and Hawkeye were fugitives on Hala. Iron Man managed to find a way to trace Deathbird, and he sent Hawkeye to do so, while he went to save the Avengers. Hawkeye eventually found Deathbird and managed to convince her to help them save the Avengers. However, Iron Man fought Ronan, and it was a very fierce fight, and Iron Man was very much afraid that he would fail and die. The other Avengers were freed, and they helped Iron Man against the Accusers and Ronan. However, Captain America was still imprisoned. The Avengers learned of the negabomb, and Iron Man pulled away the Avengers to stop it. Hawkeye wanted to remain to save Captain America, but Iron Man knocked him out. Now in the Mighty Thor issue 446, Thor was very blunt and aggressive against the Shi'ar, and eventually the Avengers were sent over to the cells. Star Force arrived to attack the Shi'ar, and there was a huge fight where the Avengers actually burst out and helped the Shi'ar against the Star Force. Eventually the Star Force was defeated and Lilandra recalled the bomb. However, it turned out that they could not contact it. So in Captain America issue 400, Captain America had some really strange dreams, mostly concerning his old foes. It turned out that the Supreme Intelligence was trying to get Captain America into thinking that he was dying in order to assimilate his mind, but it didn't work. Meanwhile, the bomb was being towed away towards the Kree Stargate. In Avengers West Coast issue 82, Lilandra ordered once again the Avengers to their cells, but the Avengers were not happy about that at all, so they attacked the Shi'ar. Once again, huge fight, and while this happens, this Shi'ar counselor kept on egging on Lilandra, and the Living Lightning was just sick of it. So he sent away a lightning bolt, striking this counselor, and turned out that the counselor was actually a Skrull. Lilandra, of course, realizing that the Skrulls were probably just basically trying to manipulate her, she released Ultimus of the Kree and told him to tell his homeworld about the Skrulls' deception, hopefully ending this war once and for all. Now in Quasar issue 34, the ship with the negabomb was being towed by Skrulls towards the Kree Stargate. Kismet and Quasar tried to stop the ship, but the Super Skrull and the other Skrulls persuaded Quasar to let them tow the bomb away to the Kree. Quasar let them tow it through, and the Sun was getting even worse by this. Binary ended up fighting Kismet once again, and Quasar told her about all the issues with the Sun, basically telling her that we have bigger issues than just a little fight. Binary, being Carol Danvers, actually helped Quasar heal the Sun from the antimatter which had been affecting it. Now in Wonder Man issue 9, Wonder Man and Vision tried to deactivate the negabomb and to fight the Skrulls at the same time. However, they had different opinions about the bomb. While Vision wanted to send it through to kill the Kree, Wonder Man felt that he could not have this on his conscience. The other Avengers actually showed up to fight the Skrulls outside as well. However, before Wonder Man managed to deactivate the bomb explodes. Now, in Avengers issue 347, the negabomb exploded. Most of the radiation went through the Stargate into the Kree Empire, and Hala and pretty much every other planet there was in ruins. some of the Avengers back in our solar system were believed to be dead, basically hanging out in space, being dead-like. However, it turned out that they were actually still alive. Vision and Wonder Man were at the explosion at the time, but managed to survive as the radiation went away from them. Cersei had apparently changed the other Avengers' molecules into basic inert matter, basically saving them. Star Fox remembered an old game he had played when he was young and changed them back, saving their lives. The only Avenger not being recovered at the moment was of course Captain America, as he was awakened by Deathbird on Hala. We can also see Lilandra regretting deeply that the Kree had to die. Now, on Hala, we see the Supreme Intelligence explaining his plan to Captain America and Deathbird, that this was his plan all along actually. That now that 98% of the Kree were dead, the rest would become stronger, mutate and adapt to the radiation. Supreme Intelligence felt that the Kree had been stuck in their evolutionary ways, so he made this plan in order to allow the Kree to escape the evolutionary dead end that they were in. He even had planted the idea in the Shi'ar minds as well. Later on, the other Avengers came to Hala. Atlas and Dr. Minerva were there as well, and Atlas naturally blamed the Avengers for all this. However, Captain America and Deathbird showed up to tell them all the truth. It was also revealed that Dr. Minerva had known all along about this. Atlas, being in love with Dr. Minerva, among other things, felt extremely betrayed, and he had made his suit self-destruct, killing both him and Dr. Minerva, most likely anyway. Some of the Avengers wanted to kill the Supreme Intelligence for doing this, preventing him stop doing anything like this ever again. But Captain America and some of the other Avengers disagreed. The other Avengers who disagreed were Crystal, Quasar, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Living Lightning, Star Fox, and Hawkeye, while the Avengers that wanted to kill the Supreme Intelligence were Hercules, Black Knight, Wonder Man, Vision, Iron Man, Cersei, and Thor, and they actually went off to do just this. So they came to the Supreme Intelligence, who used the approaching Avengers' memories to bring forth their biggest opposition, pretty much giving it all form and substance at the same time. And these were naturally Thor, Cerberus, Mandarin, Ultron, Grim Reaper, Crow, and Black Knight. These villains, however, were very easily defeated, and the Avengers took the fight to Supreme Intelligence once again, breaking into his containment chamber and actually killing him. Black Knight even stabbed the Supreme Intelligence in his brain. Lilandra and the Shi'ar arrive at Hala and claims the planet and the fallen Kree Empire. Lilandra also names Deathbird Viceroy for the fallen Kree Empire as well. She also promises that the Stargate at the Avengers' Sun, well, the Earth's Sun, would never be used again. So in Captain America issue 401, this is more of an aftermath issue, where Captain America steps down as chairman of the Avengers. He is extremely disappointed of the death of the Supreme Intelligence, and he even holds a seminar for superhuman ethics. Quasar needed to see to the Kree Empire, so Cap naturally excused him, also feeling that Quasar was not the person who needed to be at the seminar. Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Black Widow were at the seminar, Thor showing up late, but Captain America felt that he needed to cancel it, as apparently it didn't matter. Now Captain America was very depressed, and Hawkeye felt that he should take Cap to a bar to cheer him up. So they sit down and talk, and Iron Man, well, Tony Stark, shows up to talk with Captain America one-on-one, basically going through their issues even before this, even with the Armor Wars, and eventually he apologizes to Captain America. In the final issue of this story, we have Quasar issue 35, where Quasar and Makari went into the Kree Empire to see if they could help. Kismet joined as well, and when they came to the chamber where the Supreme Intelligence had been, Quasar suspects that he was in fact not dead, as he was empty. Star Force arrived with Deathbird at the helm, Korath, Ultimus, and Shatterax being next to him. However, before they could even hurt Quasar in a way, he fled with his friends. Okay, so that's that. That is the story of the Operation Galactic Storm. I hope you have enjoyed all this, and I thank you all for listening. If you enjoy this, make sure to subscribe and see more that comes.